The Mafia King smelled like gunpowder and expensive whiskey, and I could hear every lie he'd ever told himself. Straight, right. And I was the Pope. I wasn't supposed to be at Dante Cross's underground casino in Newark. Hell, I wasn't supposed to be within 50 miles of anything connected to the Cross family. But rent doesn't pay itself. And my gift, the one that let me slip inside people's minds like a ghost, made me very good at counting cards without ever getting caught. Until tonight. Table 3, Omega. Blonde hair, blue eyes, winning streak that's mathematically impossible. The security guard's thoughts hit me before his hand touched his earpiece. I didn't look up from my chips, but my pulse kicked into overdrive. Time to go. I stood pocketing my winnings. $3 grand, eaten enough for 2 months of freedom, and moved toward the exit with the kind of casual confidence that said, I belong here. I didn't. Leaving so soon? The voice stopped me cold. Not because it was loud, it wasn't, but because the mind behind it was a fortress, silent, locked. The first time in my 23 years I'd encountered a consciousness I couldn't read. I turned. Dante Cross stood 6 feet away, surrounded by men in black suits who thought about violence the way normal people thought about breakfast. But I only saw him, the Mafia King himself, 6'3" of controlled power, wrapped in a Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than my car. Dark hair swept back, jaw sharp enough to cut glass, and eyes. God, those eyes. Cold gray that assessed me like I was a puzzle he intended to solve. Straight, I reminded myself. Famously, publicly straight. Engaged to some senator's daughter. Untouchable. Just had a good night, I said, flashing the easy smile that had gotten me out of trouble before. Didn't want to push my luck. His expression didn't change. Luck. He tasted the word like it offended him. Is that what you're calling it? Think, Ash. Think. I reached for his mind again, searching for an opening, a stray thought, anything. But there was nothing. Just that impenetrable wall of silence. How was that possible? I'd read murderers, politicians, even other Omegas whose suppressants made them neurotic messes. But this alpha? Blank. I'm calling it a night, I said, moving toward the door. His hand caught my wrist. The contact sent electricity straight through my suppressant-dampened instincts. His scent hit me. Sandalwood and something darker. Something that made my Omega hindbrain sit up and notice, even though I'd been on military-grade suppressants since I was 16. Dante. His name left my mouth before I could stop it. Too familiar. Too intimate. His eyes narrowed. You know who I am. Everyone knows who you are. Hard not to. Your face is on half the buildings in Newark. Then you know I don't appreciate being stolen from. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Stolen. I won fair and square. Well, I tilted my head, dropping my voice to something playful. Mostly fair. Mostly. His thumb pressed against my pulse point, and I knew he could feel it racing. What are you? Omega, Telepath, broke college dropout. Take your pick. Lucky, I said instead. His jaw tightened. For 3 seconds we stood there, his hand on my wrist, my heart hammering. When his thoughts a black hole I couldn't penetrate, then something shifted in those gray eyes, something that looked almost like curiosity. I'm going to give you 2 choices, he said quietly. You can return what you have taken and walk out of here, or you can tell me how you did it and I'll consider letting you keep breathing. The men around us thought about guns, about the river, about how easy it would be to make an Omega disappear. But Dante, still, silent, unreadable. I should have been terrified, should have dropped the money and run. Instead, I heard myself say, what if I told you I could offer you something worth more than $3,000? I'm listening. Information. I lowered my voice, letting him lean closer. About your enemies, your allies, anyone who walks through these doors. I can tell you what they're really thinking, what they're planning, who's loyal, who's not. It wasn't a lie. My gift was worth millions to someone like him. Dangerous? Absolutely. But I was already drowning in student debt, and one missed rent payment away from homelessness. What did I have to lose? You're a reader, not a question, a statement. I blinked. Most people didn't even know telepaths existed outside of movies. You've met one before? I've killed one before. His thumb moved against my wrist. Not a threat, something else. Something that made heat pool low in my stomach, despite every logical reason it shouldn't. They tried to use their gift against me. It didn't end well for them. I'm not trying to use anything against you, except maybe my devastating charm and poor life choices. Ian, I'm trying to offer you a business arrangement. Why? Because I need money. You need information. And apparently, I gestured to the mental void where his thoughts should be. You're the one person in this building I can't read, which makes you either very lucky or very dangerous. Both. Fair. He released my wrist, and I immediately missed the contact, which was insane. This man had just threatened to kill me. He was a mob boss, straight, engaged, everything I should avoid. So why did my instincts hum with recognition when he looked at me? Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., my office upstairs. He handed me a black card with gold lettering. Don't be late. Don't try to read my employees. And Ash? My breath caught. I hadn't told him my name. He leaned in, close enough that his breath ghosted against my ear. Sunra, if you're lying about what you can do, I'll know, and luck won't save you twice. Then he was gone, disappearing into the casino crowd with his wall of security, leaving me standing there with a racing heart and the horrifying realization that I'd just agreed to work for the most dangerous alpha in New Jersey, an alpha whose mind I couldn't read, an alpha who somehow knew my name, an alpha who was supposed to be straight. I looked down at the card in my hand, then at the exit 30 feet away. Walk away, Ash. This is how Omegas end up dead. But my fingers closed around the card, because for the first time in years, I'd encountered something, someone I couldn't figure out. And God help me, I'd never been able to resist a mystery, even if solving it might destroy me. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out, still staring at Dante's card like it might bite me. 3 texts from my roommate Marco, each more frantic than the last. Where are you? Ash, the landlord came by. We have 48 hours. Perfect. Just perfect. I pocketed the card and headed for the exit, my $3,000 suddenly feeling a lot less impressive. 48 hours to come up with first, last, and security deposit for a new place, or we'd be sleeping in Marco's Honda Civic. Again. The night air hit me as I pushed through the casino doors, cool and sharp with the smell of approaching rain. Newark streets glittered with neon and broken glass, the kind of neighborhood where you walked fast and didn't make eye contact. I made it half a block before I felt it, the prickling sensation at the back of my neck that meant someone was following me. I reached out with my gift, searching for the mind trailing behind me, and found nothing. My stomach dropped. I spun around. Dante leaned against a black Mercedes, arms crossed, watching me with that same unreadable expression. He'd ditched the security detail. Just him, the car, and the streetlight casting shadows across his face that made him look less like a businessman and more like the monster the tabloids claimed he was. You're following me now? I called out, grateful my voice didn't shake. Pretty sure that's stalking. Illegal, even for you. You dropped this. He held up my wallet. Shit. I patted my pocket. Empty. Must have fallen out when he grabbed my wrist. I walked back, hand extended, but he didn't give it to me. Instead, he flipped it open. Ashton Wilder, 23, organ donor. His eyes flicked up. Optimistic. It's Ash. And I like to hedge my bets on the afterlife. I snatched for the wallet, but he pulled it back, studying my driver's license photo like it held state secrets. Rutgers dropout, theater major. Something that might have been amusement crossed his face. You're a dramatic telepath. That's either perfectly fitting or cosmically ironic. I prefer underemployed artist with marketable skills. I finally got my wallet back, shoving it deep in my pocket this time. Thanks for the return. Very gentlemanly for someone who threatened to kill me 10 minutes ago. I didn't threaten to kill you. You heavily implied it. I implied consequences. He straightened, and God, he was tall. Taller than he'd seemed inside, or maybe it was just that, out here, without the crowd, I couldn't pretend he wasn't affecting me. TR, there's a difference. Semantics. The Mafia loves those. His jaw tightened, but I caught the smallest twitch at the corner of his mouth. Was that almost a smile? Hard to tell with Mr. Stoneface. You should go home, Ash. The way he said my name, low and deliberate, made something flutter in my chest that I absolutely did not have time for. Planning on it, got a hot date with instant ramen and crippling anxiety. I started walking backward, giving him a little salute. See you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. I'll bring my A game and a lawyer, just in case. You won't need a lawyer. Everyone needs a lawyer around you. It's like rule 1 of organized crime. This time he definitely almost smiled. I turned to leave for real this time, but his voice stopped me. Ash. I looked back. He was closer. How did he move that quietly? The streetlight caught his eyes, turning them silver, and for just a second I felt it. That pull. The one my suppressants were supposed to eliminate. The one that made Omegas do stupid, dangerous things around the wrong alphas. Except I'd never felt it before. Not once in 7 years of suppressants. Until now. How did you know? I asked, my mouth moving before my brain approved. My name. I never told you. He reached out, and I should have stepped back. Should have run, but I stayed frozen as his fingers brushed my collar, adjusting it. The touch lasted 2 seconds, but my skin burned where he'd made contact. You talk in your head, he said quietly. Loud. Even I can hear it sometimes. My heart stopped. You can hear... I swallowed hard. You're a null. Nulls were rare. It was so rare most telepaths went their whole lives without meeting one. They were the only people immune to mental gifts, surrounded by a void that made them invisible to readers like me. But some of them, the really rare ones, could do more than just block. They could reflect. That's why I can't read you. The pieces clicked together. You're bouncing my gift back. God, that's why you seem so quiet. You weren't blocking me. I was reading my own mental static. Smart and dramatic. He dropped his hand. Dangerous combination. Is that why you haven't killed me yet? Professional courtesy between freaks? His expression went cold. Don't call yourself that. The intensity in his voice caught me off guard, like I'd insulted him personally instead of making a self-deprecating joke. It's fine. I've been called worse. I tried for casual and probably missed. Freak, abomination, Omega slut who should have been culled at birth. You know, the greatest hits. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Who said that to you? Does it matter? Names, Ash. Why? You gonna add them to some murder list? I laughed, but it came out shaky. My father said it. When he found out what I was, both things. The telepath part just gave him extra ammunition. The air between us changed. Charged. I couldn't read Dante's mind, but I didn't need to. His scent shifted. Darker. Edged with something that made my instincts scream contradictory messages. Danger. Safety. Run. Stay. Tomorrow night, he said. 9 p.m. Don't make me come find you again. Why do I feel like you'd enjoy that too much? He didn't answer. Just studied me with those storm gray eyes like I was a problem he hadn't figured out how to solve yet. Then he turned and walked back to his Mercedes, leaving me standing on a Newark street corner at midnight, heart racing, skin still tingling from a 2-second touch, and the horrifying realization that my suppressants might be failing. Or worse, they might be working perfectly fine, and I was just attracted to the straight Mafia King anyway. I pulled out my phone and texted Marco. Got the rent money, also might have accidentally agreed to work for the mob. Details at 11. His response was immediate. Ash, what the fuck, yeah. That about summed it up. I looked back at where Dante's car had been, then down at the black card still in my hand. Tomorrow night I'd walk into his office and offer my services. Telepathy for hire. A simple transaction. So why did my reflection in the dark window beside me look terrified? The first raindrop hit my face, then another, and as the sky opened up, washing Newark's streets clean, I stood there getting soaked and wondered what the hell I'd just gotten myself into. My shoes squelched with each step. Great, just great. Designer cardstock in one pocket, $3,000 in soggy bills in the other, and enough emotional confusion to fill a therapist's entire annual quota. I started walking, because standing still meant thinking, and thinking meant acknowledging that I just had some kind of moment with Dante Cross, which was impossible. He was straight, engaged, untouchable. And I was a broke Omega who'd sworn off alphas after the last one tried to claim me without consent. My phone buzzed again. Marco, I'm probably having a meltdown. I pulled it out, rain dripping down the screen. Please tell me you're joking. Ash, answer me. I'm calling the police. I typed back with wet fingers. Don't. I'm fine. Walking home. Explain when I get there. A cab rolled past, its taillights reflecting red in the puddles. I raised my hand, but it didn't stop. Of course not. I looked like a drowned rat. Need a ride? I spun around, nearly dropping my phone. Dante's Mercedes had circled back, idling at the curb with its window down. He looked dry and composed and completely unaffected by the fact that I was currently drowning on a public street. Are you following me again? Or is this neighborhood just really small? I called over the rain. Get in. I don't take rides from strange men. I'm not strange. You already know my name, address, even credit limit. He leaned across the passenger seat, pushing the door open. And you're going to catch pneumonia. Omegas don't catch pneumonia. We're annoyingly resilient. But I was also freezing, and the thought of walking another 20 blocks in wet clothes made my bones ache. Fine, but only because hypothermia seems worse than whatever you're planning. I'm not planning anything. Everyone's always planning something. I slid into the passenger seat, immediately ruining his pristine leather interior with rainwater. Sorry about your upholstery. He didn't respond, just pulled back into traffic with the kind of smooth control that suggested he'd learned to drive from someone who valued precision over speed. The car smelled like him, sandalwood and something darker. Cedar, maybe. It wrapped around me in the enclosed space, and I tried very hard not to notice how good it felt. Failed spectacularly. Where do you live? He asked. I rattled off my address, then added, It's a terrible neighborhood. You'll probably get carjacked. I'll risk it. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the rhythmic swish of windshield wipers. I should have felt uncomfortable. Instead, I felt something worse. Safe, which was insane. This man was dangerous, a criminal. The kind of alpha mothers warned their Omega children about in cautionary tales that always ended with someone disappeared or destroyed. But my instincts hummed contentment, and that terrified me more than any threat he'd made. You can't actually hear my thoughts, I said, needing to break the silence. Earlier, you said I think loud, but that's not how null abilities work. You're just guessing based on body language. Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I know. I've studied this. Nulls create voids. They don't receive. He glanced at me, and something in his expression made my stomach flip. Maybe you haven't met the right null. Or maybe you're lying to make yourself seem more impressive. I crossed my arms, which would be very on brand for an alpha mob boss. I don't lie. I laughed. Actually laughed. Everyone lies. It's like breathing, especially people in your line of work. I don't need to lie. His voice dropped lower. The truth is usually more effective. The way he said it, dark and certain, made heat crawl up my neck. I looked out the window, watching Newark's industrial district blur past, trying to ignore how small the car suddenly felt. So what's the truth about tomorrow night? I asked. What do you really want from me? I told you, information. Bullshit. You have a dozen ways to get information. Torture, blackmail, that thing rich people do where they just buy what they want. I turned to face him. Why a telepath? Why me specifically? His jaw tightened, the first real crack in his composure I'd seen. Because everyone around me lies, he said finally. My father's men, my business partners, my fiancé. The last word came out bitter. I need someone who can tell me the truth, even when it hurts. The honesty in his voice caught me off guard. I reached for his mind instinctively, forgetting for a second that it wouldn't work, and hit that familiar void. Your fiancée, I said carefully. Senator Morrison's daughter, right? Victoria? Vanessa. Right. Era Vanessa. I picked at a loose thread on my wet jeans. Does she know you're offering strange Omega's rides home in the middle of the night? She knows I do what's necessary for business. And I'm business. Yes. The word should have stung. Instead, it felt like a shield, something we could both hide behind. Okay, I said. Business. I can do business. We pulled up to my building, 3 stories of crumbling brick and broken dreams, sandwiched between a bodega and a laundromat that definitely laundered more than clothes. This is me. I reached for the door handle, but his voice stopped me. Ash. I looked back. He was watching me with that intensity again, the kind that made me feel X-rayed, seen in ways I'd spent years trying to avoid. Tomorrow night, he said, wear something nice. Why? Are you planning to wine and dine me before the interrogation? There's a gala, charity event for the mayor's re-election campaign. You'll be my +1. My brain short-circuited. You're what? I need you to read the room. Tell me who's loyal, who's plotting, who's worth keeping alive. He said it so casually, like he was discussing weather instead of murder. You'll pose as my associate. You have a fiancée. Won't she mind you bringing another Omega to a public event? Vanessa will be there, with her actual boyfriend. His expression didn't change, but something cold entered his voice. Our engagement is political. She doesn't care who I bring. And you don't care that she's cheating? It's not cheating if there's no relationship. The emptiness in his tone made my chest ache. I knew that feeling. The hollow space where love should be. Fine, I heard myself say. I'll be your telepathic arm candy, but I'm charging you extra for formal wear rental. I'll have something sent over. Of course you will, because you're rich and dramatic and probably have a whole warehouse of party clothes just lying around. This time I definitely saw it. The smallest quirk of his lips. Almost a smile. Go inside, Ash. Get dry. Bossy. But I opened the door, stepping back into the rain. Then, because I apparently had a death wish, I leaned back in. Hey, Dante? Yes? Your fiancé's an idiot. I closed the door before he could respond, jogging toward my building's entrance. I didn't look back, but I felt his gaze following me until I disappeared inside. Marco was waiting in our apartment, pacing, his thoughts a chaotic mess of worry and fury that hit me the second I opened the door. What the actual hell, Ash? I held up the soggy bills. Rent money. You said you'd explain? I will. I peeled off my wet jacket, my skin still tingling from where Dante had adjusted my collar hours ago. But first, do we own anything that could pass for formal wear? Why? Because apparently I have a gala tomorrow night. A gala. With the Mafia King. The straight Mafia King. That's the one. Marco stared at me, then at the money, then back at me. Ash, he said slowly. What did you do? I looked down at the black card still clutched in my hand, water damaged but readable. Something really stupid, I admitted. And the worst part? I couldn't wait to do it again. Marco's thoughts crashed into me like a wave. Worry, anger, fear, and underneath it all, exhaustion. He'd been carrying the weight of our financial disaster alone, while I pretended everything was fine. Okay, he said, sitting down on our sagging couch. Start from the beginning, and don't leave anything out. I told him everything. The casino, the card counting, Dante's impossible silence, the job offer, the gala. Marco's face cycled through approximately 17 emotions, landing somewhere between horrified and resigned. You're insane, he said when I finished. Probably. He's the Mafia King, Ash. The guy who makes people disappear. I know. And you called his fiancée an idiot to his face. Technically to his car interior, but yes. Marco dropped his head into his hands. We're going to die. We're not going to die. I'm going to make enough money to keep us alive. I sat beside him, bumping his shoulder. Trust me. I do trust you. That's the problem. He looked up, brown eyes serious. Your instincts about people are usually right, but Ash, you can't read this guy. What if your instincts are wrong? The question sat heavy between us. Then I'll deal with it, I said quietly. How? Same way I always do. Charm, wit, and strategic running away. He didn't laugh. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened the text. Address confirmed. Delivery arriving 6 p.m. Be ready by 8:30. Car will collect you at 8:45. D. He has my number now, I said. Of course he does. He probably has your blood type and childhood trauma indexed alphabetically. Fair point. The next text came through. An image. I opened it and my breath caught. A suit. In midnight blue, perfectly tailored, with a black silk shirt and silver cufflinks that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe combined. This will work, the text said. I stared at the screen. What? Marco leaned over. Oh my God. It's just a suit. That's not just a suit. That's a I'm rich enough to make you disappear, but I'd rather dress you up first suit. You're not helping. I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to make you see how insane this is. But his voice softened. Are you sure about this? Was I? No, absolutely not. Everything about this screamed danger. But I thought about our eviction notice, Marco's student loans, the slow drowning feeling of never having enough. I'm sure we need the money, I said. He sighed. Then I guess we're doing this. We. That's why I loved him. Marco had been my best friend since freshman year, when he'd found me having a panic attack in the library bathroom after accidentally reading a professor's thoughts about his dying mother. He'd sat with me, hadn't asked questions, just stayed. Thank you, I said. Don't thank me yet. I'm going to spend the next 24 hours having a nervous breakdown on your behalf. Efficient. The hours crawled by. I tried to sleep, but my mind kept circling back to Dante. The way he'd looked at me in the rain, the careful distance he'd maintained in the car, like he was afraid to get too close. The way he'd said my name. Stop it, I told myself. He's straight, engaged, your employer. This is a business arrangement. My instincts hummed disagreement. At 6 p.m. exactly, someone knocked. The Marco opened the door to reveal a man in a black suit holding a garment bag in a small box. Delivery for Ashton Wilder. That's me. I took the items. The weight of the suit surprising. Quality, real quality. The man handed me a card. Mr. Cross requests you wear the items provided. Nothing else. Nothing else? I raised an eyebrow. Is he worried I'll accessorize poorly? The man's expression didn't change. He'll know if you don't comply. Creepy. Tell him I said that's creepy. I will not. He turned and left. I closed the door and laid everything on my bed. The suit was even more beautiful in person, the fabric catching light like water. The box contained shoes, leather so soft it felt illegal, in a small envelope. Inside, a note in sharp handwriting. The cufflinks were my brother's. Don't lose them. Shorty, he has a brother? Marco read over my shoulder. Had. The past tense sat heavy in my chest. I turned the cufflinks over. Simple silver, engraved with initials I couldn't quite make out. Why would he give me something personal? I showered, washing away the rain and confusion, trying to center myself. This was a job. Information gathering. Nothing more. At 8:15, I started getting dressed. The suit fit perfectly, like it had been made for me, which maybe it had. The thought made my skin prickle. You look... Marco's voice trailed off. Wow. I look like I'm about to make terrible decisions. You look like you belong in his world. That scared me more than it should. At 8:45, another knock. This time, a different man, older with gray hair and eyes that assessed me like a weapon. Mr. Wilder. I'm James, mister. Cross's driver. His thoughts were military precise, loyal, dangerous. Ready? As I'll ever be. Marco grabbed my arm. Be careful. Always am. Liar. I followed James to a different car, this one even more expensive than the Mercedes. Bulletproof glass, reinforced doors, the vehicle of someone who expected to be shot at. Comforting. We drove through Newark streets, leaving behind the broken buildings and entering a different world. Clean sidewalks, actual trees, buildings with doormen. The hotel rose ahead, all glass and gold, valets in white gloves opening doors for people who'd never worried about rent. "Mr. Cross is waiting inside," James said. "Third floor, private lounge." I stepped out, my new shoes clicking on marble. Everything smelled like money and roses. An attendant directed me to the elevator, and I rode up alone, watching the numbers climb. Third floor. The doors opened to reveal a private lounge, all dark wood and soft lighting. And there, by the window, stood Dante. He'd changed too. Black tux, perfectly tailored, hair swept back. He looked like old money and new danger, and when he turned to face me, something in his expression shifted. "Ash." "Dante." I walked closer, hyper-aware of every step. "You clean up nice for a mob boss. You clean up nice for a telepath." His eyes traveled over me, and I felt the weight of his attention like a physical touch. "The suit fits. Your brother had good taste." His jaw tightened. "He did." The grief in those two words made my chest ache. I wanted to ask, wanted to know what happened, but the walls around him were back up. "So," I gestured to the window, to where I could see the ballroom below filling with people. "What's the plan? I read minds? You intimidate people? We solve crime?" "Something like that." He moved closer, and I caught his scent again. Stronger now. My suppressants should have killed any reaction, but my pulse still jumped. "There's one problem," he said quietly. "Just one? That seems optimistic. This event is formal, traditional. Everyone will expect." He paused, and for the first time, he looked almost uncertain. "You'll need to stay close to me, very close." "Define close." "Touching distance." My heart stuttered. "Why?" "Because Alpha Omega pairs at these events are assumed to be," another pause, "intimate. If we appear distant, it will raise questions. Questions like why the straight Mafia King brought a male Omega as his date." "Exactly." Oh no. So we're pretending to be what exactly?" I asked. He held out his hand. "A couple," he said. "For tonight, we're a couple." I stared at his offered hand, and the worst part wasn't the danger or the lie. It was how badly I wanted to take it. I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, warm and solid, and electricity shot straight up my arm. My suppressants should have killed this, should have made me numb to alpha touch. But standing here, hand in hand with Dante Cross, I felt everything. "This is insane," I said. "Yes. Your fiancé is downstairs." "I know. People are going to talk." "Let them." His thumb brushed across my knuckles, and the casual intimacy of it made my breath hitch. "Ready? To fake date a mob boss in front of New Jersey's criminal elite? Sure. I do this every Tuesday." That almost smile again. Ah, God, I wanted to see a real one. He led me toward the elevator but didn't let go of my hand. We rode down in silence, and I tried not to think about how right this felt, how his scent wrapped around me like safety, how my instincts purred contentment even though everything about this was wrong. The elevator doors opened to reveal the ballroom. It was obscene. Crystal chandeliers dripping light, marble floors polished to mirrors, ice sculptures melting slowly beside champagne fountains. Women in gowns that cost more than my education. Men in tuxedos discussing deals that would ruin lives. And every single one of them turned to look when we walked in. The thoughts hit me like a tidal wave. Shock, curiosity, calculation. I steadied myself against the mental onslaught, sorting through the noise. That's an Omega. Since when does Cross bring Omegas to public events? Isn't he engaged to Morrison's daughter? Look at how he's touching him. Scandal. "Breathe," Dante murmured, his hand tightening on mine. "I've got you." I pulled my shields tighter, focusing on the task. Information gathering. That's all this was. 3:00, I said quietly. "Man in the gray suit, Anthony Marchetti. He's planning to skim from your Brooklyn operations." Dante didn't look. just nodded slightly. 6 o'clock, woman in red, she's DEA, undercover. I know, she's been undercover for 6 months. You know, I've been feeding her useless information. He guided me deeper into the crowd, his hand moving to the small of my back. Keep going. We moved through the ballroom like that, my gift peeling back layers of deception while Dante cataloged enemies and allies with terrifying precision. Every touch he gave me, casual possessive, sent heat crawling under my skin. This was an act. I had to remember that. Dante. A smooth voice cut through the crowd. We turned to find a woman in emerald silk, blonde hair swept up, diamonds at her throat. Beautiful in the way marble statues were beautiful. Cold. Perfect. Untouchable. Vanessa Morrison, the fiancée. Her thoughts were ice. Who is this? Why is Dante touching him? This will ruin everything. Vanessa, Dante's voice revealed nothing. You look lovely. As do you. Her eyes cut to me, sharp as glass. And who's this? Ashton Wilder. I held out my hand, which she ignored. But everyone calls me Ash. You must be the fiancé I've heard so much about. I must be. She smiled, and it was all teeth. I wasn't aware Dante was bringing a guest. Last-minute decision, Dante said. Ash is assisting me with business matters. Business, she let the word hang. How interesting. And does your business often involve hand-holding? When necessary. His hand was still on my back, and he didn't move it. Her thoughts turned vicious, embarrassing me in public, after everything I've sacrificed for this arrangement. Your boyfriend's looking for you, I said sweetly. 9 o'clock, blue tie. He's thinking about whether the hotel has rooms available. Vanessa's face went white. Excuse me. She turned on her heel and disappeared into the crowd. Dante looked down at me. That was reckless. She was being rude. I don't do rude. She could make your life very difficult. So could you. Yet here we are. I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter. Besides, she's cheating on you at your own event. I'd say she deserves a little public humiliation. The engagement is political. I don't care who she sleeps with. Liar. His eyes narrowed. You can't read me. Don't need to. Your jaw does this thing when you're pissed off. I touched the spot just below his ear and felt his pulse jump. Right there. He caught my wrist, holding it. Don't what? Touch you? You're the one who said we needed to appear intimate. That's different. How? He didn't answer, just stared at me with those storm gray eyes like I was the equation he couldn't solve. Dante Cross, another voice, older, male, dripping with false charm. I turned to see a man in his 60s approaching. Silver hair, expensive suit, smile that never reached his eyes. His thoughts were a cesspool. The Omega, perfect. This changes everything. Senator Morrison. Dante's hand moved to my waist, pulling me closer. Enjoying the evening? Immensely. Morrison's eyes crawled over me. I don't believe we've met. Ashton Wilder. I didn't offer my hand this time. Wilder. He tasted my name. Any relation to Thomas Wilder? My blood went cold. You know my father? Know him? We served on several committees together. Brilliant man. Though I heard... His smile sharpened. He had some trouble with his son. Something about deviant behavior? Dante's hand tightened on my waist, the only sign he'd noticed my reaction. My father and I don't speak, I said, keeping my voice level. Cheap pity. Morrison sipped his drink. He mentioned you were quite gifted, special even, though he seemed to think that gift was wasted on an Omega. The room tilted. My father had talked about me, to senators, to people in power. How many people know what I am? My gifts are my own business, I said. Of course. Morrison's thoughts turned calculating. A telepath. Dante's using a telepath. That's how he stayed ahead. Though I imagine they could be quite valuable to the right people. Ash's services aren't for sale. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. To anyone. Everything's for sale, Cross. You of all people should know that. Not everything. He guided me away before I could respond. We're leaving. But you just got here. We're leaving now. He pulled me through the crowd, ignoring the stares and the whispers. Vanessa's shocked face as we passed. We made it to the elevator, and the moment the doors closed, I started shaking. Hey! Dante turned me to face him, hands on my shoulders. Breathe. He knows, I gasped. Morrison knows what I am. If my father told him, who else did he tell? What if they come for me? What if they try to use me? No one's using you. You're using me. That's different. How? Because I asked. His hands moved to cup my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. And you can walk away anytime. Can I? Yes. The word was absolute, certain. Always. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. My father, I said quietly. He tried to have me institutionalized when he found out what I was. Said telepaths were abominations. Was that Omegas with gifts were against God's plan. Something murderous flickered in Dante's eyes. He signed the papers, I continued. Would have locked me away if I hadn't run. I was 16. Ash. That's why I dropped out of school. Why I can't go home. Why I'm so desperate for money that I'd work for someone like you. I laughed, but it came out broken. You wanted the truth? There it is. I'm a coward who ran away and never looked back. You're not a coward. His thumbs brushed my cheekbones and I realized I was crying. When had I started crying? You survived. Barely. Still counts. The elevator stopped. 3rd floor. The private lounge. But neither of us moved. Dante, I whispered. What are we doing? His forehead dropped to mine, and the intimacy of it stole my breath. I don't know, he admitted, and somehow, that honesty scared me more than any lie. The elevator doors stayed closed. We stayed still, foreheads pressed together, breathing the same air, existing in a moment that felt stolen from reality. We should go, I said, but didn't move. We should, he agreed, not moving either. His hands were still cradling my face, thumbs tracing patterns on my cheekbones that made thinking impossible. I could feel his heartbeat where our chests almost touched. Steady, controlled. Everything mine wasn't. You're not what I expected, he said quietly. Disappointing? Terrifying. I pulled back enough to see his face. The Mafia King is afraid of a broke telepath? Yes. No hesitation. No joke. Just raw honesty that made my chest tight. Because you see people. Really see them. And I've spent years making sure no one could see me. I can't see you, though. Not in your head. That's not what I mean. His hand dropped from my face to find mine, fingers threading through mine like they belong there. You saw through Vanessa in 30 seconds, Morrison in less, but you look at me and what? You don't flinch. The words landed heavy between us. I squeezed his hand. Should I? Flinch? Most people do. Most Omegas especially. His jaw tightened. I'm not a good man, Ash. The things I've done, the things I'll do. You should be afraid. Maybe I'm not most Omegas. I tilted my head, studying him. Besides, fear is boring. I prefer strategic caution with a side of reckless curiosity. That earned me a real smile. Small, fleeting, but real. God, he was beautiful when he smiled. No, come on. He tugged me out of the elevator. Let me show you something. He led me through the private lounge to a door I hadn't noticed before. It opened onto a rooftop terrace, all glass railings and city lights spreading below like scattered diamonds. The night air was cool, carrying the smell of rain and distant traffic. This is where you bring all your fake dates? I asked. Just you. He moved to the railing, still holding my hand. My brother and I used to come here. Before. Before what? His silence stretched. I didn't push, just waited, watching Newark's skyline pulse with life. Before he died, Dante finally said, 3 years ago, rival family, they sent a message by putting bullets in his chest. My heart cracked. Dante, I'm sorry. Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't change anything. He looked down at our joined hands. He was the good one. Wanted to go legitimate. Get out of the family business. I told him he was naive. You blame yourself. I should have protected him. You can't protect everyone. I stepped closer, letting my shoulder press against his. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. Is that why you ran? When your father tried to institutionalize you? Partly. I looked at the city, remembering. Mostly I ran because staying meant becoming what he wanted. Broken, controlled, silent. I turned to face Dante. I'd rather be broke and free than rich and caged. Even if free means working for someone like me? You gave me a choice. That's more than most alphas have ever done. His eyes searched mine. What happened? One with the alpha who tried to claim you. I stiffened. How do you know about that? You mentioned it in your head. In the car. I caught the edges. Right. The null thing. Reflecting my own thoughts back. College boyfriend, I said. Seemed nice. Until my heat hit early and he decided my consent was optional. I touched my neck, where his mark would have been if Marco hadn't broken down the door. I got lucky. Most Omegas don't. Dante's scent darkened. Fury. Pure cold fury. Name. What? Give me his name. Why? So you can add him to your murder list? I tried to joke, but his expression stayed deadly serious. Yes. The single word, absolute and certain, should have scared me. Instead, something warm unfurled in my chest. When was the last time someone had wanted to defend me? His name was Connor Hayes, but he transferred schools after campus security got involved. I haven't seen him in 3 years. I'll find him. Dante, no, it's not worth it. You're worth it. He said it like fact, like something immutable and true. My breath caught. You don't even know me, I whispered. I know enough. His free hand came up, brushing hair from my forehead. I know you count cards to survive, make jokes when you're scared, cry when you think no one's looking. I know you're strong enough to walk away from family, brave enough to confront senators, stupid enough to get in cars with dangerous men. Stupid or optimistic? Both. His fingers traced down my jaw, and I shivered. I know your favorite color is blue because you stared at the suit for 10 minutes before putting it on. I know you bite your lip when you're reading thoughts. I know you smell like rain and something sweeter. Honey, maybe. You're not supposed to notice how Omegas smell. You're straight, remember? I never said I was straight. The world tilted. But Vanessa, your engagement. Everyone says what my father's PR team tells them to say. His thumb pressed against my lower lip, stopping my words. The engagement is political. Vanessa knows. She doesn't care. We're both playing roles. What role are you playing? The straight Mafia King who follows tradition, makes acceptable choices, doesn't want things he shouldn't want. My heart hammered. And what do you want? He leaned closer, and I could see gold flecks in his gray eyes. Something I can't have. Why not? Because I'm dangerous, because people around me die. Or because you deserve better than a man who's killed more people than he can count. What if I don't want better? The words escaped before I could stop them. What if I just want this? This, his voice dropped to a whisper. You. Here. Being honest. I reached up, touching his face the way he'd touched mine. Everyone lies to me, Dante. They smile while thinking terrible things. But you're just you. Even if I can't read you, I can feel you. And you feel real. His eyes closed like my words hurt. Ash. Yeah? If I kiss you right now, everything changes. My pulse thundered in my ears. Maybe everything needs to change. He opened his eyes, looked at me like I was something precious, dangerous, inevitable. Then he kissed me. Soft at first, gentle, like he was afraid I'd break. But I pressed closer, making a sound that was half gasp, half surrender, and he deepened the kiss. His hand slid into my hair, mine fisted in his jacket. The city disappeared. The danger disappeared. Everything disappeared except the taste of him, the feel of him, the rightness of this. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine again. I'm going to ruin you, he whispered. Promise? He laughed, actually laughed. the sound low and rough and perfect. And for one fragile, beautiful moment, I let myself believe this could work, that the straight Mafia King and the broke telepath could be something real. I should have known better. Beautiful things in my life never lasted. The rooftop door slammed open. We broke apart, Dante's hand instinctively moving to the gun I hadn't known he was carrying. A man in a black suit stumbled out, phone pressed to his ear, thoughts a chaotic mess of panic. "Sir," he spotted Dante. "We have a situation. I'm busy. It's about your father. And the Omega." My stomach dropped. Dante's expression went cold. "I'll handle it." "Sir, he's demanding to speak with you. Now. He knows about—" The man's eyes cut to me. "Everything. Give us a minute." Dante's voice carried an edge that made the guard retreat immediately. But the damage was done. The spell was broken. "Your father knows about me?" I asked. "Ash. How? We just met last night." My mind raced, pieces clicking together too fast. Unless he already knew. Before the casino. Before I ever walked in. Dante's silence was answer enough. "Oh my God," I stepped back. "You knew. But you knew I'd be there." "It's not what you think." "Then explain it to me." My voice stayed level, but my hands shook. "Explain how the Mafia King just happened to catch me counting cards. How you just happened to offer me a job. How you knew my name before I told you." "I had you investigated." The words hit like a physical blow. "Investigated." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "When?" 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. Everything inside me went numb. "So this whole time, the job offer, the gala, this," I gestured between us, "it was all planned. I was just some mark you needed to acquire." "No." He moved toward me, but I backed away. Don't you dare touch me right now." My gift reached out instinctively, slamming against his void, and the emptiness felt mocking. "Why? Why me specifically?" His jaw tightened. "No, Morrison has been moving against my family, quietly, carefully, using information he shouldn't have access to. I needed someone who could tell me who was feeding him intelligence. So you found a desperate telepath and manipulated him into helping you." "I didn't manipulate you. I offered you a job. After making sure I'd be desperate enough to take it." The realization hit like ice water. "The casino. You own it, don't you?" His silence confirmed it. Jesus Christ. I pressed my hands to my face. "You set me up. Let me think I was getting away with something when you were watching the whole time. Letting me win just enough to feel confident. And then you swooped in like some savior offering me exactly what I needed. I needed a telepath I could trust." "Trust?" The word tasted like poison. "You've been lying to me since the second we met." "I never lied." "Omission is still lying, you manipulative asshole." Anger finally broke through the numbness. Good. Anger I could use. "What else? What else haven't you told me?" He hesitated, and that hesitation killed something in my chest. "Tell me." My voice went quiet. Dangerous. "Right now, Dante. Or I walk away and you never see me again." "Your father." He met my eyes. "He's the one who told Morrison about you. 3 years ago. He sold the information for political favors." The world tilted. "No. Morrison approached me 6 months ago. Mentioned he had a file on a telepath. Thomas Wilder's deviant son who ran away. He wanted to use you. Control you." Dante's hands clenched. "I couldn't let that happen. So you decided to control me first." My laugh cracked. "How noble. I wanted to protect you. By manipulating me? By making me trust you while keeping me in the dark?" Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of him. Did any of it mean anything? Or was I just another asset to acquire? "Ash, please. Answer the question." "It started as strategy." His voice went rough. "But you weren't supposed to be like this." "Like what?" "Real." The word came out broken. "Funny. Brave. You weren't supposed to make me feel things I haven't felt since—" He stopped. "Since your brother died." The pieces snapped together. "Oh God, That's why you gave me his cufflinks, because I remind you of him. No, don't lie, not now, not after everything. I touched the cufflinks and they felt heavy. Wrong. What was he? To another telepath you tried to protect? Dante's expression cracked. He was my mate. The air left my lungs. Your brother was your mate. Not by blood, adopted. We grew up together. His voice went hollow. The bond formed when we were 17. My father was furious, said it was unnatural, demanded we break it. But you didn't. We tried to run, got as far as Maryland before they caught us. His hands shook, the first time I'd seen him show physical vulnerability. They gave him a choice, leave and never come back or stay and pretend to be just brothers. He chose to stay. For you, to protect me, my father threatened to disown me, remove me from succession. Lucas said he'd rather live a lie than watch me lose everything. Pain bled through every word. 3 years of pretending. 3 years of watching him smile at other people while our bond slowly poisoned us both. And then he died. And then Morrison's people killed him because I was too focused on protecting my position to see the threat coming. He looked at me, and his eyes were devastated. You asked why I chose you. It's because when I saw your file, saw your picture, I knew you'd be just as stubborn, just as brave, just as willing to sacrifice yourself for people who didn't deserve it. So I'm just a replacement. The words tasted like ash. A way for you to ease your guilt. You're not a replacement. Then what am I? Someone I'm terrified of losing. He moved closer, and this time I let him. I know I handled this wrong. I know I should have told you from the beginning. But Ash, I've spent 3 years building walls, and you walk through them like they were paper. That's not love, Dante. That's trauma bonding. Maybe. Or maybe it's both. His hand reached for mine, but I pulled away. I can't do this. My voice broke. I can't be your second chance. I can't fix what broke inside you when Lucas died. And I can't trust you knowing you've been playing me from the start. Ash, please. You had 2 weeks to tell me the truth. 2 weeks to treat me like a person instead of a chess piece. Tears finally spilled over. You kissed me. You let me believe this was real. And the whole time you were lying. Not about that. Never about that. How am I supposed to know what's real anymore? I stepped back, putting distance between us. Your father knows about me now. Morrison knows. I'm exposed because you decided to play hero without asking if I wanted to be saved. I'll protect you. I don't want your protection. My voice went cold. I want to go home. Ash, call your driver now. The devastation on his face almost broke my resolve. Almost. But I thought about every lie, every manipulation, every moment I believed he was different. He pulled out his phone, made the call. We stood in silence, the city lights mocking us with their beauty. When James arrived, I walked to the elevator without looking back. Ash. Dante's voice stopped me at the threshold. I meant it. Everything I said up here, I meant it. I turned and the tears on my face felt cold. That's the problem, I whispered. I believe you. Then the doors closed and I let myself shatter. The elevator descended in silence. I watched the numbers fall, each floor taking me further from Dante and closer to reality. My reflection stared back from the polished doors, mascara-streaked face, brother's cufflinks catching the light, expensive suit that felt like a costume now. I looked like someone else's tragedy. The doors opened to the lobby. I walked through head high because crying in elevators was one thing. Crying in front of rich people who'd remember my face was another. James waited by the car, his thoughts military neutral, professional. He opened the door without comment, and I slid into the back seat that still smelled like Dante's cologne. My chest ached. We pulled into traffic, and the moment we were away from the hotel, I fell apart. Silent, ugly crying that made my ribs hurt. The kind that came from somewhere deeper than heartbreak. A betrayal. That's what this was. Not the manipulation. I could almost understand that. Dante needed a telepath, found one, made it happen. Cold, calculated, business. But he'd made me care. That was the unforgivable part. Mr. Wilder, James's voice was gentle. There are tissues in the compartment. I grabbed them, pressing one to my face. Does everyone who works for him know? About me? About why he really wanted me? Silence. You can tell me. I'll know if you're lying anyway. Some of us suspected, James admitted. The boss doesn't usually take interest in strangers. When he ordered the investigation 2 weeks ago, we knew something was different. Different how? He was invested, kept checking the reports personally, asked questions about your routine, your friends, to your struggles. James met my eyes in the rearview mirror. I've worked for him for 15 years. I've never seen him care about an asset like that. I'm not an asset, I'm a person. I know, sir, but to men like Mr. Cross, people become assets to protect. It's how they show care. Well, it's a really terrible way to show care. I wiped my eyes. Did you know his brother? Lucas? James's thoughts flickered with old grief. I did. Good man. Too good for this world. Dante said they were mates. They were. His voice softened. The boss hasn't been the same since. Colder. More ruthless. Like he died with Lucas, but his body kept moving. Until tonight. Until you, sir. The words sat heavy in the car. We pulled up to my building, and I realized I was still wearing Dante's brother's cufflinks. I should take them off. I leave them in the car. Cut all ties. My fingers wouldn't cooperate. Thank you, James. I opened the door. Mr. Wilder, he turned. Whatever you decide about the boss, know this. I've seen him kill men without hesitation. I've seen him torture information from people who betrayed him, but I've never seen him cry until tonight. My breath caught. He cried. After you left, just stood there on that rooftop. James's expression was unreadable. Make of that what you will. I stumbled out of the car and into my building, legs shaky, heart hammering. Marco opened the door before I could knock. Ash! His thoughts crashed into me. Relief, worry, fear. What happened? You look... He played me. I walked past him, shedding the jacket. The whole thing was a setup. He knew about me before we met. Orchestrated everything. Oh! Ash. His brother was his mate. Dead 3 years. I laughed, sharp and bitter. I'm just a replacement. A way for him to feel something again. Marco pulled me into a hug and I let myself be held. Let myself be weak for 1 more minute. What are you going to do? He asked. I don't know. Run. Maybe. Change my name. Move to Alaska. Alaska? I hear there's good telepathic reception in the tundra. He laughed despite everything. There's my Ash. I pulled back, wiping my face. I should never have gotten in his car. Should never have believed. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened it. A photo. Morrison. My father. Standing together, shaking hands. The timestamp was from tonight. 1 hour ago. The text beneath made my blood freeze. Your father knows where you live. Morrison promised him you'd come home. Hey, quietly, or they'll make it loud. You have until sunrise. V, who's V? Marco read over my shoulder. Vanessa. My hands shook. Dante's fiancée. Another text came through. He doesn't know I'm sending this, but you should. Morrison's moving tonight, and your father signed the institutionalization papers again. Current and legal. Oh, God, the room spun. They're coming for me. We have to call someone. The police. My father is the police. He has connections everywhere. I looked at Marco, really looked at him. You need to leave. Right now. If they find you here, I'm not leaving you. Marco, no. His voice went hard. We figure this out together. My phone rang. Dante's number. I stared at it, every instinct screaming contradictions. He'd lied to me, manipulated me, used me. But Vanessa's text sat heavy in my mind. Well, he doesn't know I'm sending this, which meant Dante didn't know Morrison was moving tonight, which meant he couldn't protect me if I didn't tell him. I can't, I whispered. I can't trust him. But can you survive without him? Marco's question cut deep. The phone stopped ringing, then immediately started again. I thought about my father, about locked rooms and medications that made thoughts go fuzzy, about losing myself to keep others comfortable. I thought about Dante, about lies and manipulation and kisses that felt like truth. I thought about Lucas, a mate who'd chosen captivity over freedom to protect the person he loved. And I realized something. I'd been so angry at Dante for not giving me a choice, for deciding to protect me without asking. But running now? Hiding? That wasn't choosing freedom. That was letting fear choose for me. Screw it, I answered the phone. I'm listening. Dante's voice came through, rough with emotion. Ash, thank God. Morrison's men are moving. They're coming for you. I know, Vanessa told me. Silence then, she what? Texted me, with proof. I pulled up the photo. My father and Morrison. They're planning to institutionalize me. Take me somewhere I can't use my gift against them. Over my dead body. That's probably their plan B. I looked at Marco, who nodded. What do I do? You trust me. The words hung between us. Trust. After everything. I don't know if I can, I admitted. Then don't trust me. His voice went urgent. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. What are they telling you right now? I closed my eyes, reaching past the hurt and betrayal to something deeper. That pull I'd felt from the beginning. The recognition. The certainty that somehow, impossibly, this man mattered. They're telling me I'm about to make another terrible decision. Good. I could hear him moving. Car doors slamming. I'm 5 minutes away. Pack light. Bring Marco. We're leaving the city. Where are we going? Somewhere they can't touch you. Somewhere I can keep you safe until we figure this out. And then what? Then you decide. His voice softened. You decide if you can forgive me, if you want to stay, if this is something worth fighting for. But Ash, whatever you choose, I need you alive to choose it. My heart hammered. This was insane. Running with the man who'd betrayed me to escape the father who tried to destroy me. But maybe sometimes you had to choose which poison killed you slower. 5 minutes, I said. I'll be there in 3. I hung up and looked at Marco. Pack a bag. We're going on an adventure. An adventure. A possibly fatal one. I started throwing clothes into a duffel. But hey, at least it won't be boring. He grabbed his own bag and we moved in synchronized chaos. 3 minutes later, headlights flashed outside. I looked down at the cufflinks still on my wrists. Lucas's cufflinks. A dead mate's memory. I should take them off. Instead, I grabbed my bag and ran toward the dangerous alpha waiting below. Because sometimes the scariest choice was the only one that lets you keep breathing. I burst through the building's front door with Marco behind me. And there was Dante, leaning against the Mercedes, eyes scanning the street like he expected an army. When he saw me, something in his expression cracked open. Get in! He opened the back door. Both of you. I threw my bag in and climbed after it, Marco sliding in beside me. Dante took the passenger seat and James hit the gas before our doors even closed. Where are we going, Maestro? I asked. Safe house in Connecticut, 2 hours north. Dante turned to look at me, and God, James was right. His eyes were red-rimmed. He'd been crying. Morrison has men watching the highways. We're taking back roads. My father is currently being detained by the FBI for accepting bribes from Morrison. Dante's voice went cold. Turns out senators don't appreciate when their political allies try to kidnap telepaths for personal use. I made some calls. I stared. You? The FBI? I have recordings of Morrison admitting he wanted to use you as a weapon. What your father agreeing to deliver you. All very illegal. He pulled out his phone, showed me a file. Sent it to 3 different federal agencies 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago was when I hung up on you. I know. His jaw tightened. I wasn't going to use it. Was going to handle Morrison quietly. But then you left and I realized... He stopped. Realized what? That protecting you meant nothing if you weren't free to choose. He met my eyes. So I burned every bridge I had in politics to make sure you'd never have to run again. My chest went tight. You destroyed your political connections for me? They weren't worth keeping if they meant losing you. Marco made a small sound. When I glanced at him, his thoughts were screaming, "Oh my God, he's in love with you." Yeah, I was getting that. Dante, I leaned forward. And you can't blow up your life for me. We barely know each other. I know enough. His hand found mine, and this time I didn't pull away. I know I handled everything wrong. I know I should have told you the truth from the beginning. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. You really don't. I know. His thumb traced circles on my palm. But I'm asking for it anyway. Not because I've earned it, but because I can't imagine my life without you in it now. That's incredibly manipulative. I'm aware. And romantic. Also aware. I looked at our joined hands, at the cufflinks I still wore. Your brother, Lucas. You said I reminded you of him. I lied. The admission came quiet. You don't remind me of him at all. He was gentle, soft. Everything I wasn't. Dante's voice went rough. You're fire. Sharp edges and smart mouth, and so brave it terrifies me. You're nothing like him. Then why? Because you make me feel alive again. His eyes held mine. For 3 years I've been going through motions, building empires, making money, staying numb. And then you walked into my casino with your terrible card counting and your gift you tried to hide. And for the first time since Lucas died, I wanted something. Me. You. He brought my hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles. Not as a replacement, not as a second chance. Just you. Exactly as you are. My heart hammered. I'm still mad at you. You should be. And I don't trust you completely. You shouldn't. But I want to. The confession escaped before I could stop it. I want to trust you so badly it scares me. Then trust this. He shifted closer, and the car felt smaller, warmer. I will spend every single day proving I'm worth the risk. I will tell you the truth even when it hurts. I will protect you without controlling you. And if you choose to walk away tomorrow, or next week, or next year, I'll let you go. You'd really let me go. If that's what you needed to be happy. His voice broke slightly. Yes. I looked at Marco, who was trying very hard to pretend he wasn't witnessing this. What do you think? I asked him. I think you should stop asking my opinion and kiss the man already. Helpful. I try. I turned back to Dante, this impossible alpha who'd lied to me and manipulated me, and somehow still made me feel safer than I'd ever felt. If we do this, I said slowly, if I give you a chance, it's on my terms. Anything. No more secrets. No more investigations without telling me. You treat me like a partner, not an asset. Done. And you break off your engagement to Vanessa? Publicly. I don't care about the political fallout. Already called her. It's handled. He smiled slightly. She was relieved, actually. Apparently she's been trying to dump me for months. Good. I took a breath. And one more thing. Name it. You take me on a real date. Not a fake gala. Not a business meeting. A real, normal, terrible first date where we both pretend we don't know how this ends. His smile grew. I can do that. Even though you're terrible at normal. I'll learn. And I'll probably read the waiter's mind and ruin the surprise dessert. I'm counting on it. We were both smiling now, and it felt like breathing after drowning. Ash! His hand cupped my face. Can I kiss you? For real this time. No lies, no games. I leaned in, close enough to feel his breath. You better, because if I'm choosing you after all this drama, you better make it worth it. He kissed me, and it was nothing like the rooftop. This was raw, real, a promise instead of a question. I kissed him back, pouring 3 days of confusion and hurt and hope into it. And when we broke apart, we were both shaking. Worth it? He whispered. Getting there. Marco cleared his throat loudly. So, Connecticut, safe house. Anyone going to explain what happens when we get there? We regroup, Dante said, not taking his eyes off me. Figure out next steps. Keep Ash safe until Morrison's in custody. And after that? I asked. After that? His smile turned softer. Real. After that, I take you on the worst first date in history, and then a second, then a third, and somewhere around date 50, I ask if you want to make this official. 50 dates? That's very specific. I'm a patient man. You're a control freak. That too. I laughed and it felt good. Free. Fine. 50 dates. But I'm picking the restaurants. Deal. The car ate up miles, taking us away from Morrison and my father, and everything broken behind us, taking us towards something new, uncertain, terrifying. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't running from something. I was running toward it. I looked down at the cufflinks, then back at Dante. Lucas would have liked you, he said quietly, following my gaze. He always said I needed someone who'd call me on my bullshit. Smart man. The smartest. He squeezed my hand. Yeah, he'd be happy I found you. Even though I'm difficult and sassy and refuse to do what I'm told, especially because of that. I leaned my head on his shoulder, feeling his arm come around me, and let myself believe this could work. The straight Mafia King and the broke Telepath. The null and the reader. Two broken people choosing to be whole together. It wouldn't be easy. There would be more fights, more tears, more moments where trust felt impossible. But as Newark's lights faded in the rearview mirror and Connecticut's forest rose ahead, I realized something. Sometimes love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing someone despite their flaws, despite the lies, despite the fear. It was about earning forgiveness instead of expecting it. And it was about being brave enough to believe that broken things could still be beautiful. Hey, Dante, I whispered. Yeah? Thank you for burning it all down. His lips pressed against my hair. Thank you for not running. Well, I smiled against his shoulder. There's still time. Don't even joke. Who said I was joking? His arm tightened, and I felt him smile. And for the first time in 3 years, the Mafia King laughed. Real, whole, alive. And I knew somehow we'd be okay.